Oh, oh, oh. That was one of those games where if you could do it again, you would have won by 100. I bowled very poorly. Match play day. It's the matches, and I'm pumped. I'm ready to do this. My first match is against Santu from Finland. He is last year's PBA Rookie of the Year, and he has lots of hair. He's a bloody good bowler too. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I was strategizing a little bit last night on how I think best to play, because there are two or three ways that you can play your match. You can play aggressively, where you may intentionally change your own line to cause havoc for your opponent, but also cause havoc for yourself. You can play a little bit more conservatively, where you stay away from where your opponent is trying to play and you do your own thing. Or the third option is you do a bit of both. So I think my strategy is going to be, considering that I've had a really strong look this year on the lanes, is to just do my thing. And we'll see how the match is panning out. That strategy could change depending on how game 1 and 2 goes. It is a 3-game total pin match. So hopefully I come out of the gates like I have so far this tournament, and that'll make it really difficult for Santu to have to come back and beat me. But he might be strategizing as well. He might be trying to think, well, he's got a great look, so I might need to change the oil pattern as best he can to interrupt my play. And so all these things are happening, and you're trying to also make shots and make decisions and win. So it'll be interesting. It's probably the one thing that a lot of people at home in the matches don't really get to see or hear or know, is what was the strategy? How did you intend to beat your opponent? So I'm going to try and do my best to share what I'm doing every match. And hopefully we get a few W's today. But first, as always, 2 shots of coffee coming right up.
USBC Master.
That was a pretty tricky match. Santu decided to move in with me pretty quickly, and the lanes were hooking so much in the front, and just every now and then the ball would just explode and it would just go straight to the face. And that's kind of what I saw the first game. It took me a few frames in the first game to get a little comfortable. Once I did feel a bit comfortable, there was one shot late where I thought it was a pretty good shot, but the lane just blew up and it just duck hooked on me. We left a split, and then we were able to strike out and give ourselves a bit of a lead going into game 2. game two, it was kind of the same thing. You know, I threw some pretty decent shots later in the game, but early, the ball was just, it was either hooking too much or not enough. And it was one of those moments where you don't feel so comfortable because you don't know where you want your ball to be breaking. But I was able to make a move, get my speed right, get my hand right, and I was able to put together a couple of really good shots. But then again, the lane just blew up out of nowhere, and one of those shots went straight to the face, which then made the game a lot closer. Final game, I was up 20 something pins and I just wanted to get off to a good start. I wanted to make sure Santu knew that this wasn't going to be an easy comeback for him. And so starting off with a triple, spare double, you know, that put a lot of pressure on him. He knew he basically had to strike out, is the feeling he would have had. And ultimately the lanes transitioned again for him. He couldn't put together those strikes. And then later in the game, when it was mathematically over, I used a couple of different bowling balls to do a couple of different things just to see. And so now I get a bit of an understanding on what might happen in the next round. So it's match number 1 in the books, and 6:59. This is 6:21 win against Santu. Give me a bit of a break. Then we forward on to the second round of the winners bracket. I'm not sure who I'm bowling yet. I don't really care. And it's time to get back to work when it's my time back on the lanes. But it's good to get that first W. Thank you, everybody. Alrighty, handed it in. I am officially able to get out of here now. So we're gonna get something to eat, relax, come back for the afternoon. I actually don't even know who I'm playing. We'll be on the board somewhere, I think. I'm playing Kim Bolaby from Sweden. So I'm getting like a European run. First Finland with Santu, Kim from Sweden, just crossing them off the map.
And then
oh, it's nice to get into the car with a W. It's a nice feeling. This tournament in the winners bracket is so much shorter than if you have to go through the L bracket. So really happy to get that first win on the board. Still a long way to go. Obviously now I have Mr. Kim Bolaby from Sweden, and he bowled really well against Dominic. They were right next to me. So watching his ball shape and seeing the way that he was getting his ball to go through the pins, he's going to be tricky to beat. Okay, we had a nice little morning / lunchtime rest, and now we're on our way to the bowl to play Kim Bolaby. And during my nap, I kind of went through my head some new strategies. I think when you get to this part in the tournament, the guys that you are playing, I think they also have a few contingency plans, and the scores seem to be going up a little bit. Now against Santu, we were both willing to kind of curve the ball a little bit, and so if we made them a little trickier for each other, that was part of the game. Was they weren't going to get nicer, they were going to get a little worse, and then we both just had to outbowl each other. Against Kim, he's a left-handed player, and so now I have my side of the lane all to myself, and he has his side. And so now I've got to start thinking, well, I don't want to make the lanes ugly for myself because it's affecting just me. And so that's why a part of me is thinking that at least for the first game, to actually try to stay a little further right, maybe increase my speed a little bit and try and generate a little better transition for the second and third game when I do want to move in and curve it a little bit. And so there's a part of me that struggles with this idea because typically throughout this tournament on the fresh, I have had a pretty good look and bowled some pretty big games. And so you're risking that start under the pretenses of, well, maybe we'll make them better game 2 and 3. And so that's where it gets a little bit tricky when you start to think about what is it that you're actually going to do out there. So I feel like that'll be something that I feel. I'll feel it on the lanes. I'll just know, I'll know if there's a little something there to the right, and if I think I can make a good game happen from there, I'll do it. But if I feel like it's not an option, then I'm just going to have to do my thing that I've been doing all week and then just out bowl the guy, even if I make them a little uglier on my side of the lane. So a few things to think about, all of which will be determined in the next 36 minutes.
Competition. This week.
Kim, go first. Well, the very first frame of the match, I had a little approach issue and missed a single pin spare, which was annoying, frustrating, but it's the first frame, no problem. In the left lane, I had pretty good. The left lane for, I'd probably say, most of the match. The right lane felt a little tricky to start with. There was a little bit more length in the pattern where I was thinking it was going to actually hook off of it. So I left a couple of splits there just because there was a spot down lane where I just didn't want to come off of it. Because of that spot, I fell into the trap of being a little bit hesitant on where I actually wanted to throw it. And so every time I stepped up on that right lane, I really wasn't confident that I knew what the ball was going to do. The left lane, no worries. I felt like I could strike all day on the left lane. And so when I lost a little bit of that security of knowing what the ball is going to do, well, I executed poorly. So the strategy was to play them a little straighter. And I think that was the right play still. I just didn't throw great shots on the right lane. The right lane kind of blew up a little bit from the outside. It was a little funky down lane. So I thought, you know what, maybe it's time to actually get in a little bit, hook it a little bit on that right lane, but let's keep doing what we're doing on the left lane until it goes away. And so the amount of shots that I had on the right lane that could have turned into triples and 5-baggers and 7-baggers because I had the left lane good. There were so many opportunities there to shut the match away early, and I just couldn't let the ball go the way I wanted to, which is frustrating because all week I've really been able to kind of put the ball in a string. So we move left, which I think is the right play, and then it just came down to making sure my speed was good, my roll was good, and my break point was good. And for 3 games, pretty much, my speed was poor, my roll was poor, and my break point was poor on that right lane. Kim bowled great. You know, I think he made a lot of great moves. He was fishing around a little bit, and when he had something, he threw enough really good shots to give himself, you know, the lead into that last game where I just didn't execute. So I got to be better. I suppose it's a learning experience. Like, why were you so uncomfortable? You got to like probably digest that. Now that I get to have a bit of a break, figure it out, and when I get to actually come back to the bowl, if I start to feel those things again, I've got to be able to recenter myself and, you know, tell yourself, you know, you were like this the last match. It didn't turn out so well for you. So let's get comfortable. Let's get into a rhythm, which I never did. Right, so a bit of a punch to the gut, but in a couple of hours we've got to come back and do it again. And now we're in the losers bracket. So if there is a silver lining, it's that we now have a long journey ahead of us, but we are still alive. And so whilst I can be a little bit frustrated and perhaps disappointed in the way that I executed that game, the key is to walk into the bowling center and not let that one get to me, and be able to just let it go, because I still have another match, and that match is going to require me to be at my best. So I can't go in there feeling all sad and sorry for myself and disappointed. I've got to be able to like walk in there like you own the place, like you're the king again. That's what we're gonna do. So decompress time starts now, and I guess we'll do it the hard way. Anthony had a very, very good ball reaction, and he was pumped up. He was ready for that match, and I didn't let him or anyone else distract me from the only thing I cared about, which was when it was my turn to bowl, go and hit that shot. So after my very ill-disciplined second match today against Kim, to come out in my very next match to put on a performance like that, I'm very, very pleased. We got the W. That was our goal, to get that win. But it wasn't just getting the win that I'm really, really happy with. It's how I got the W. Incredibly laser focused for 3 games. That's one down. There's still a lot of bowling to go. It's an 8 a.m. start tomorrow, which means if I make it all the way through to the TV show, I think the TV show's at 6 or 7 p.m. So it's a late, long day, but that's okay. That's what I'm here to do. So it's an early night. It's a long, long sleep. It's another performance needed just like tonight. As soon as I come in here tomorrow morning, me, the ball, the pins, that's it. I'm gonna do it. It's exactly what I'm gonna do. G'day, thanks for watching. If you loved this one, check out the rest of the videos from this playlist or any other playlist. Make sure that you like the video and please subscribe if you would love to be the first to catch any of the latest of the behind the scenes and a whole lot of other cool stuff.